Hi, I'm Helen Smart. I'm a solicitor in the corporate department at Wilkes. I'm here today with Aaron Keene, who's head of our family law department. This is the next in our series of videos about COVID-19 and the impact it has on our clients. So today we're going to be talking about all things family law and COVID-19 related. Aaron, obviously we're all facing challenges at the moment during the lockdown period. What particular challenges are people facing who are going through a divorce as a result of COVID-19?
Well, I think that the initial challenge is that very often they're still in the same house as their spouse. And one of the problems we've got with COVID-19 is then the delay in getting things done. It has speeded up since lockdown initially, and the delays have become less. And probably the biggest challenge is that the more complex contested hearings by and large are not happening. So you can deal with things out by way of remote hearings in simpler cases, but the more complex issues are not being resolved by the courts.
Wow, that's quite a difference then. And what changes have your team put in place to help support your clients through these times?
I guess the biggest change, we're now having Zoom meetings with them, which are working really well. I think clients particularly like that at this time when there's less social interaction generally. But we're used to dealing with things by email. And I think client appointments over the years have become less. Clients like to do things by telephone a lot more now. And this might be the future. I think we may see in the future clients coming in to see us less and doing more on Zoom.
And touching on the court proceedings and things, is it possible to issue new court proceedings for divorce or financial matters in respect of divorce, or indeed in respect of children at this time?
Yeah, I mean, the courts have been at pains to say that they're not closed, they're open for business. And certainly issuing divorce proceedings, you can do that online or you can send it in by post. And although there was certainly some delays by post when we first had lockdown, it looks like that's speeded up. In particular, the divorce proceedings themselves, as compared to, say, complex finance and children issues, are dealt with by specific divorce centres.
Okay. And if you do want to sort of start a divorce during lockdown, but you're still in the home with your partner, is that still possible, or are there any risks about that?
Well, no, you can still issue divorce proceedings to some extent. There's less risk because you know what the partner's doing. You're not worried you're in different homes and they're trying to sell the house and you don't know about it,
Yeah.
or getting rid of stuff that you don't know about. So you can keep an eye on them a bit more if you're in the same property. The worry, of course, is it's a bit of a melting pot, and the concern is that relationships can boil over, and it's important that people have that protection. I think, and they can still apply to the court for court injunctions for protection, which courts are dealing with as quick as they ever did.
And that's in cases such as domestic abuse and that sort of thing.
That's right. So you can apply for a court injunction to get protection, what is known as a non-molestation order, and you can do that without notice to the other party. So you're not worried that if he finds out about it or she finds out about it, they'll be violent towards you. And an order is usually put in place immediately. The big difference we now have is that when they used to do these orders, you'd get a court hearing that you'd go to 3 or 4 weeks later. Certainly in Birmingham, what they're doing, injunction proceedings in the last few weeks are now being listed for a paper hearing in June. So you send in your evidence, and then in effect, if you're agreeing to the continuation of the order, they'll let that run. If not, they'll then list it for a hearing, which will probably also be dealt with remotely by telephone a few weeks later.
And the government have issued guidance on for people suffering domestic abuse about them being able to leave their homes during this time, even though we are.
They are, and I think they've been very keen to make sure that the public are aware that there's a protection then. And the first call is generally the police. Anyway, we can obviously offer protection, but the police are there to protect you, and that would probably be the first call anyway.
And I know in certain circumstances you're required to take or do mediation before court proceedings. What's happened with that now?
Well, you need to attend what we call a mediation information assessment meeting if you're going to make a non-urgent application for children or finance within the divorce. So you can crack on and start your divorce proceedings. You can, of course, get protection by way of an injunction, but the government wanted people to have that opportunity to resolve things before going to court. And that was way before COVID-19 appeared. But some mediation organisations are offering these mediation information assessment meetings remotely anyway, so you can do that if you need to make the applications for children and finance, but be aware the process will probably then slow down. And you might need to find another way of dealing with it if the matter is urgent than trying to go through the courts.
Yeah. And in respect of probably more some of your existing clients who have gone through this process and have children who live with one partner, is it still possible for the children to move between? What's happened in those circumstances?
Yes, the government have been very clear, I think, in their advice with this, that where parents don't live in the same household, the children can pass between the two households. The thing to note there is it's very much a can and not must, and it's down to the parents, hopefully, who can communicate together, and that's sometimes a difficulty, and that's sometimes where we've been involved during COVID-19 to try and resolve those issues, because if one parent feels it's not safe, in particular health safety rather than anything else, then they may say, I'm exercising my parental responsibility and I don't feel it's safe for our children to pass for whatever reason. But of course, that decision will be judged later, and that'll be looked at when the case goes to court, if it is heading that way.
And I guess things like if someone's at higher risk may play a part in those decisions as well, whether that be
yes, if for example one parent's an NHS worker, there might be some concerns if they're on the front line, or if an elderly relative lives with one parent and the children are with another. Again, passing children where they're going to come into contact with a high risk adult may be a decision. Well, that shouldn't happen at the present time.
Yeah. And how are you dealing with sort of financial matters with the delays that are happening in the court system at the moment?
Well, people sometimes forget that a lot of the cases we deal with never go to these contested hearings, never get into a contested situation at all from the point of view of making a court application. Over 90% of cases are resolved by solicitors, exchanging financial information and negotiating. And in effect, if anything, that process has speeded up since lockdown because people have more time on their hands. And we've seen cases which have slowed up until March and have now speeded up, and we're well on the way to settling cases because of that.
So it's had some benefits in some respects as well, I guess.
It has. I mean, if you're trying to look at a sort of silver lining, many of our clients are being more proactive at this time and getting this done. They're often people who've already separated some time, and now is their opportunity to sort this out. They've got more time on their hands, and we're acting no differently. We can exchange financial information by email. We can get the other solicitor on the telephone, and we can email each other.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks very much, Aaron.
Thank you.
So if you need any more information on matters relating to family law, then Aaron's details will appear at the end of this video. In the meantime, stay safe and thank you very much.